Let's go to VT Corner, fellas. Tonight is not going to be so much on the bowl, although we are going to talk about it. I want to get up to speed on a couple notes first, though. Another offensive lineman has jumped in with the Hokies. He comes over from West Virginia, this time in the form of Lucas Austin, 6'6", 287 is what the release was I got offline. He's from Illinois originally, 0.86 in the composite in the class of 2024. He's a young man, and an 89 on 247's in-house rankings coming out of high school. He was the 40th ranked tackle in the country in his class. Kyle Altuner was in Blacksburg this past weekend as well. He had the uniform on out in the snow. Physically, both of these guys look ready to play, but particularly Altuner, Dan. I think I'm getting pretty excited because now we've got, 14 offensive linemen in the fold for 2025, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable about where the roster's sitting.
Yeah, dude, Hoss. That dude's a Hoss. And Mary Hossmas, I'm excited to get some beef in the room, some people, and they have experience with this coach. They've already been developed by him or in the process of being developed by him. He was listed as a tackle coming out, but Coach Moore moved him to center, so he's been working at center all this past year. So might have our answer for Braylon Moore there. I'm sure there will be a little I would imagine there would be some competition there with the in-house Hokies. But I'll never turn down a good competition. Good competition makes everybody better. And there's no better motivator than fear of losing your job. So bring them in.
Yeah, Sam, are you to the point now where if we did not bring in another offensive lineman, you'd be all right with 14?
Yeah, I think so. Because there are other areas that they need to bring guys in, and there are some promising young players. Johnny Garrett, Lath Gannum, some guys like that on the team. Tommy Ricard, bummer we didn't get to see him in the bowl game, but heard really good things about him.
And that's related because of what Dan just said. Because Altuner is a center.
Mm-hmm.
Ricard was supposed to play center, but what happened? He got sick or something before the bowl?
I don't know for sure, but he wasn't able. He was running with the twos, wasn't in game shape for.
Okay.
I think he was like sick or something. But he didn't come in as a center. He came in as a guard. So he could, I think it was, they needed somebody to play center because they didn't have anybody else. So I think that's why he was like slotted into center right there. So
gotcha.
I would say this going into next year, there are 5 players play on the offensive line. If I'm not mistaken, all 5 positions are up for grabs, all 5. And I think you're going to have guys mix around to different positions. I think you're going to have some guys play, they'll play right tackle in the spring and they'll play right guard in the summer. Like there's going to be some movement there. Everything is open. There's also, to move on from offensive line, we just got another portal commit.
Yeah. Speaking of Mercer.
We had another one. We want to do the Mercer one first?
Oh, wait.
We'll do the Mercer.
I'm not even sure I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'll do this one since since you clearly don't have the notes on it. Somebody didn't come prepared.
Spicy.
James Joncom, middle linebacker for Eastern Michigan. Now I know you're saying like, oh, middle linebacker, Eastern Michigan. This guy had an 83.1 overall grade on PFF, a 91.2 pass rush, 98 tackles and 4 sacks as a middle linebacker, second team all MAC, had like 30 something tackles tallied up in their last 2 games.
When did this happen? This happened like 10 minutes ago?
It did not happen before.
Literally like 10 minutes ago.
I've been hosting the show
before the show. Before the show, it did not happen.
That's awesome.
Honestly,
that is awesome.
My reaction was on camera was real. It was not theatrics like that. Mike linebacker, you couldn't if you were like, brother, would you rather have Jesus or a Mike linebacker? Like right now, I might take Mike linebacker because I don't know if I can do another offseason of, maybe Jaden Keller is ready. Like this dude, if he is what he is and he looks like he is, the film is good, he will absolutely help our defense. 100%.
6'3", 245. He's bigger than the defensive end that you're going to talk about right now from Mercer.
That is fantastic, dude. Yeah, no,
That's
we
a big
needed a
dude.
linebacker. We needed a portal linebacker. We've been saying that for a little bit, and I'm doing the. I'm just hearing this for the first time. Based on what I'm hearing with the PFF grades, that sounds pretty good, dude. And I'll take that size all day, every day.
His Twitter handle is the Ginger Freak.
Hell yeah.
Wait, is he red hair?
Yeah,
Um.
he does.
It's a white dude.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, okay then.
The Ginger Freak? I like it, dude. Let's get freaky in Blacksburg.
I don't even know what's going on right now, but that
You don't
sounds.
need to know.
That
Don't
sounds
worry
good.
about it.
That sounds
We
good.
signed some dude called the Ginger Freak. And
The Ginger
he's
Freak.
6'3",
What's his name
245.
again? Jock? What would you say?
The Ginger Freak, dude. That's what we're going with.
No. His name is James Joncom.
James
DJONKAM. Yeah.
Cool.
I
And then
think
we
I'm
added,
pronouncing that right.
was it a defensive end for Mercer?
Mhm.
A little bit smaller. I thought he might have been a defensive tackle, but I wasn't exactly sure because that one also came across late in the day. Someone did say this in our chat that when it comes to getting linemen from FCS, it's always maybe a little bit more of a concern because the skill players, the translation could be a little bit better. I mean, we saw with Bashaw Tootin, didn't really matter at all. When you're going up against size, it might make a difference, but we see FCS players get drafted in the NFL and kick butt. So, I mean, going up a level or two might not be such a big deal, but another position, we needed more D linemen. So I'm glad we added one.
If you're going to take him, he was arguably the first or second best defensive lineman in FCS. And there were a lot of people that I saw on the internet were like, why isn't this dude first team? Why is he second team? So, like, if you're going to take a shot on FCS kids, like, that would be one. And also to clarify, I would not choose a player over our Lord. But it was it was just funny. It was funny delivery, yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. I did hear that he was All-American at that level on some team. So for what it's worth, that is something to keep in mind. Wasn't Stone Snyder also All-American at the FCS level? So
Yeah,
this can go the other way.
Well, I think he was just ready to be a family man.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you also need to build some depth there. I mean, you lost TJ McCray. You know you're losing APR. Like
Madison.
Madison. Like edge isn't a position that Virginia Tech has necessarily recruited super well over the past two cycles. So definitely feel like they need somebody there.
Oh yeah, edge, because Cole Nelson's gone. Like they're CJ McCray. You said, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they needed bodies at the pass rusher position, right? And I would also say just in terms of the transfer portal gets, like, again, say what you want about this staff. They have a lot of faults. Very precise, strategic additions in the transfer portal. They're not going out there and getting guys that they already have that position. Like they're going out and getting guys that they absolutely need. So
they're
now
kicking butt right now.
All that has to do is work out. That's all it has to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the simple part, right, Sam?
Yeah. And also they have to work out in the offseason with a real strength and conditioning.
Yeah. Work out. Correct. We need a coach. We need a couple of coaches still waiting on that news. I think now is a good time to get into the voicemails, guys. So let me just go to my media here and I'm going to play these for you. And then we'll do a little bit of bowl talk. All right, here we go.
I think I just promised the entire Sunday Saturday group chat of like 30 people that I would buy them beers if John Love made the field goal, and he did. This will for sure bankrupt me.
Was Coach Fry really wanting to win that game? Because I don't think he really wanted to win that game. The play calling, the quarterback switching back and forth.
That was about what I expected. Saw some good things out of the young guys. Adams, Law, Green.
Not gonna lie, doing understand, man. I had wild turkey and beer in my stomach and I almost threw up, but I made it through. Can we play Colin Schlee? Question mark. He gave us a touchdown drive. I feel like he's our answer right now. Go Hokies.
When Schlee was in, the offense had a lot more life to it. But no, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't get his decisions. It does not make any sense to me.
These are just spring games in big cities where they can just take all the money out of our pockets.
I really just thought he just treated this game as a scrimmage, like a practice. and I don't think he even cared to win this game.
Hey, Pete and Sam. P. McGee. I wrote a poem similar to the beginning of the season. I'll bookend this with another poem. Here it goes. The grueling slog has finally finished. Our hope started strong. Now it's diminished. What could have been wasn't meant to be. Crestfallen, my Hokies have done this to me. 6 wins and 7 losses. A pitiful season. How could this have happened? Please give me a reason. I need to see something, a small, measly nugget. But all I was given was a mop and a bucket. To clean up my puddles of tears, sweat, and vomit. This team was outmatched. We all watched and saw it. Fire that guy. Let him walk. Oh, and him too. What choice did Pry have? It's all he could do. I sure hope these changes will prove a success, because the 24 Gobblers were truly a mess. I'll take a well-deserved break, maybe take a vacation. I certainly need my attention to change its location. But I know in my soul I'll be back to stand up and cheer, because it's forever go Hokies, year after year. Thanks, guys. Great season of coverage anyway. Bye.
Great calls. Thank you for an awesome season of calls on the whole. We heard from Kevin. We heard from Hack. We heard from Pete McGee, Nick. Everyone was in there. All of our normal guys for the most part. I did think some of the commentary was interesting. Kevin saying, I don't get Pry's decision. He treated this like a scrimmage. And Hack saying these are the non-playoff bowls. They are just an excuse to take money out of our pockets. They're just they're spring games in big cities. And, you know, it's funny because I fall on both sides of that argument. I knew full well what I was getting into going down to Charlotte. I think the three of us did. But part of me still wanted us to not treat it like a scrimmage, play the best quarterback, try to win. But you're also trying to reward some of these guys that work real hard, didn't get a chance to play so much during the regular season, and then get to go out there in front of a crowd and prove themselves a bit. Sam, what were your thoughts just on the voicemails and the idea of the bowl game being more of a scrimmage?
Well, first off, thanks for the voicemails. It's a really fun and funny part of this show. They're always very creative, so thank you. Look, on one hand, I do understand, like, if you're going to go out there and play, you want to play to win the game. On the other hand, like, what did you really want Brent Pry to do in this game? Like, realistically, what did you want him to do? He didn't have an offensive line, right? He didn't have his best wide receivers. He was going up against a top 15 defense who they're maybe missing a few players. So let's call him top 30. One of the best defenses Tech has played all year. And defensively, he had no pass rush and he was down his best 2 corners. Like, what do you really want him to do in this game? Like, he went out there and he played the reserves and he ran the plays that they could run. Like, I saw a couple tweets while I was live tweeting the game from the press box. Like, why aren't they running more screens? Why aren't they running more deep passes? Like, you can't do that.
There's no time to
with
develop.
reserve offensive linemen. Like, you just can't do it. It's not in the playbook tonight. And I understand the frustration of wanting them to win. I wanted them to win. I'm sure they wanted to win the game, but you were also going into that game seeing like, okay, well, let's pick a small section of plays and see if Pop can do them. Or here's our Pop Watson package. Here's our Colin Schley package. Defensively, you're saying, hey, this walk-on guy, is he a scholarship guy? Could he help us with depth? What does Dante Lovett look like in isolation on the island? You're looking for those kind of things. Those are more important to the program in 2025 than playing a close game, or it was a pretty close game, to be honest, or beating Minnesota in what is a glorified scrimmage in 30-degree weather in front of 20,000 people.
And I think it does depend on the situation, the 2 coaches, what time of year the game is. Like, this was a late bowl game.
Yeah.
A lot of guys have already committed to other teams. But for instance, though, South Carolina and Illinois, you had both quarterbacks who are coming back next year. You got a lot of guys returning for both teams. That was a really good game. There are certain situations where both teams don't have too many portal departures or too many guys that are going to the NFL, and you get a great bowl game out of it. But everyone is different, and I just think, like, this bowl game is too late. I don't know why we're playing this game on January 3rd. Like, just it was fun to go to and all that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of fans are still getting used to the idea, especially older fans, that these games are being treated like scrimmages. It's frustrating. I totally identify with the frustration, but every couple years we're going to get our team like last year where we pretty much have everyone in our bowl game, and we went out and we played hard and we won. Now Tulane didn't, but we were on the other side of it last year, and we just did not have a shot when you have 3 offensive linemen out and the kid you were supposed to start at center also couldn't play because of unknown reasons with Ricard. So like, it was a bad recipe, Dan. But I think Pride did the best he could trying to get inexperienced guys reps.
Yeah. If you're actually legitimately mad about that game, like, come on, man. Like, I'm not telling you how to feel, but like, I went to Charlotte knowing it might get ugly. It didn't. It was way better than that pinstripe outing, which is why I made the comment that on Tales from the Terror that I feel like Brent Pry has raised the talent floor in the last couple of years, because we were way more competitive against that Minnesota team than obviously we were against that Maryland team. But I wanted to go to Charlotte. I wanted to hit bars, see my friends, have a good time, have one last Hokie soiree, like communion before April. Like, I mean, well, I'm sure I'll see some people at basketball games or wrestling or whatever, but like, nothing brings it like football. Like, everybody comes to town for football. And I mean, my buddy, Barrick said it best. He's like, he's like, my closest friends I see like 3 months of the year. like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I saw good things. Dante Lovett looked like who we needed him to be. Aiden Green looked like who we had wanted him to be. You obviously, I thought he played Pop more, even though Schlee was moving the ball, because Pop still, I mean, we're still keeping Pop's going to be around. Like, there's a valuable reps for him, especially with Kyron.
And that's what I would tell Kevin, who had that voicemail. It's just like, that's why we saw more of Pop. I agree with you that Schlee looked more effective. At the same time, Schlee completed 2 passes. So one of them was a really good one, but like, it's not like Schlee was lighting it up either. It was 2 of 6. The reason we saw the switching, the reason we saw Pop more is because they're trying to figure out what they got. That's what they're trying to do.
And I thought Josh Clark and Thomas Williams looked pretty good over there. It was a rough pass interference on Josh Clark, but he's a young kid, first game, first action. I did not think the dude for Minnesota caught that football, but I did not have the vantage point or the viewpoint on that one.
Can I talk about that real quick? Because I think I saw stuff that you wouldn't have seen if you were watching on TV. Okay, so that was, he caught the ball, hit the ground, ball bounces out, rolls around a little bit, hits the ground, right? We saw the replay in the box. It was an incomplete pass. Everyone thought it was an incomplete pass. They go to a TV timeout because of an injury. All right, they're going to review it. There are 2, they're not officials, but there's 2 people who man the replay little booth that they roll out there. Those 2 got the signal from the replay official, and then they signal out to the field, hey, we're going to review this. They bring the little thing out there for the ref to peep into, to look at it, as well as replay officials. The official in the game just never went over. I've never seen anything like this. He just stood there and looked at them, talked to some other officials, talked to the
he didn't look at the screen.
Didn't look at the screen. Didn't do it. They come back from TV timeout. The refs huddle, talk a little bit. They say play ball. And there are some really confused people from the SEC on the sideline. So I don't know what happened there. I've never seen anything like that.
That ref crew was awful.
They were
absolutely
awful. But that was like, okay, like, oh, that should have been a PI. They didn't call it. Oh, that should have been a holding. They didn't call it. That's one thing. Procedurally mess up like that, or to have something weird happen, that was strange. I don't know if I've ever seen that live at a football game.
Yeah, that's stupid, man.
I also thought Pry was going to get ejected. Like,
well, that
he seemed like beeline, and I was like, "Let's go, dude."
I believe there was a consensus that they were going to review the play, and they just didn't. And I think it just boiled over because it was 3 or 4 calls in a row that didn't go Tech's way. And that, like, Tech didn't lose this game because of the officials. Let me put that out there. But that was what turned the tide of the game in Minnesota's favor, was a couple of those plays. So that's just what I saw.
A couple last things here before we move on to our previews for the semis. Got a couple comments. One from Billy talking about the crowd size. We had talked about this during the game, that I felt like in 2016 it was way more full because I sat in the upper deck in 2016. It was almost 47,000 for the 2016 Belk Bowl. It was 31 for this, and there was no way. I don't think there was any way there was 31,000 people there. That was paid. But it gives you an idea that there was 15,000 less paid attendance, or 16,000 less paid attendance in this game than there was back in 2016. And that kind of shows you where we're going with bowl games. Even as recently as 2016 and 2019, the 2 times we played in the Belk Bowl, bowls had a lot less opt-outs and a lot more significance in people's minds than they do right now. It has degraded very quickly. And then we also have another comment from Les Hodges. Now that the season is over, looking back, what were your favorite offensive, defensive, and special teams plays for the Hokies this year? Great question. Maybe it needs more thought, but special teams, we got the return from Jalen Lane. That was pretty dang good in the Marshall game. We had the field goal, just
the 60-yarder.
The 60-yarder.
That's crazy. I'm gonna go with the 60-yarder.
Yeah, that was sweet. We blocked the kick against Clemson?
Yeah, that might be mine.
Oh, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
might
pretty
be it.
badass. That's old school, right? Like that's the stuff we love with the block kicks. So I think that's special teams, offensive and defensive. Do you guys have any thoughts? Best place?
It didn't go our way, but the Hail Mary against Miami from Kyron.
It's definitely if you're talking about key plays of the season, it's one of them for sure.
Offensive, that Pop Watson's pass to Jalen Lane in the UVA game was pretty sick.
Yeah,
it was.
That was pretty sick. I mean, it was a thing of beauty because you knew the second he let it go that it was a touchdown. That
what
was
about
pretty...
the rush TD by Tootin at the end of UVA?
That was also really fun.
When he blew that guy down, and then he blew that guy down. Jesus, he ran into like
beating the allegations.
Four or 5 people, and then ran for the touchdown. Oh, in the Stanford game, the Felton catch.
Yep,
the Felton catch and run. That was nasty. That because the ball was a terribly thrown ball, and he reached back, grabbed it, and took it to the house, I believe.
Defensively, I would have to say, like, some of those fourth down stops against Georgia Tech, where the defense, it was the fact that the defense just kept doing it over and over again. That was pretty sick. I would say, though, for me, like when I look back on my positive memories from this year, the Boston College game, far and away the best. And then the ecstatic relief of the UVA game when Tech just marched down the field and scored on the first drive, and you knew it was just going to happen again. Like those are my 2 moments from this year.
Did you have a defensive one, Dan?
Not in particular. Maybe Dorian Strong's like 2 interception game, like things like that. But
yeah, APR had a 4-sack game, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking of Keller's 4th down stuff against Boston College, which I really think turned that game because we were letting it slip, and Keller stuffed that man on 4th down, and then we went on and crushed him. So that one sticks out to me in my head as the defensive play of the season because it preserved what was an amazing record-setting night and probably, like Sam said, the best night of the year. Great question, Les. And if I actually come up with like my definitive answers, maybe we'll talk about it on the show in a future episode. Last thing I want to mention, guys, you talked about Dante Lovett in this game, Dan, how he stepped up, did what we thought he could do, and what we're going to need him to do. Well, he had some comments on the season, which came out. At least I saw them today. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he essentially said that they were feeling themselves this past offseason. And this is more or less a quote. We're going to be an underdog next year. That's probably the best position we could be in. Because when you're an underdog, it makes you work. And then he kind of went on to say, like, we got a little bit caught up in the hype coming into 2023. And that whole like, because when you're an underdog, it makes you work. Like he's not lying. And I appreciated the honesty and I respect the commentary. But I get this is what we thought happened is that they were feeling themselves. They were listening to the press clippings, reading that kind of stuff. And maybe they didn't work as hard as they could. Maybe they weren't as focused as they could have been. And it led to what we saw against Vandy and beyond this year. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that or if
I would agree with that. I think maybe there was some I think there were different ideologies in the locker room maybe about what hard work was. I think maybe there were some people that I don't know if everybody was bought in. Maybe that's what I got from his comments, and it was a nice way of not singling anybody out, but still having accountability for the whole team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's also a classic end of season comment by a player who's coming back. Like if you look around bowl season, you're going to see that exact quote 5 or 6 times. I'm just saying that. But I think it is true that this team clearly didn't have the mentality from day one of this season.
Yep.
To go out and have that winning mentality, right? Like I wrote in my article, that's the biggest addition they could make this offseason. It's not a coach. It's not a player. It's like they got really good at losing, right? Like there are some players on this team who have, let's be honest, like they've lost a lot of football games that are pretty inexplicable to lose. And so I think that's the next step for this program is, and this is weird to say for Virginia Tech, a program that won a ton of games in 2 decades, learning how to win. Learning how to win consistently. And I think that starts in your preparation. And I just don't think this team had that this offseason.
They just need to change the approach all the way around.
Yeah.
Just change the approach, the way you attack game day, the way you attack the week of prep. Everything needed to be ripped down and restarted for next year. I know a lot of what he said was obvious to us, Sam, but it does crystallize when you hear a player who is going to be a leader for us next year actually say it. And like I said, I respected the fact that he said it.
And Pry alluded to some of the same things as well, too. You know, he alluded to that. This team is in a better place, but they got to figure out the mentality side, to put a word to it.
All right, so the 2 Deep Bowl recap that Sam and I recorded on location in Charlotte is already in your feeds. The bowl recap I did with Dan yesterday morning is already in your feed. So if you want more bowl talk, Charlotte talk, whatever, go and find those 2 things. For right now, fellas, let's hop right into – Sam, are you drinking a beer, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Oh, what do you have?
I need one after today. Today, I am drinking the German Hefeweizen from Wasserhound. It's as it sounds, it's a Hefeweizen, which is a German wheat beer. Wasserhound is from Virginia Beach here. If you haven't had a Hefeweizen before, it's one of my favorite style of beers. It's really crisp. It's really light, but it still has a lot of depth to the flavor. You get a lot of like caramely banana is kind of the flavor that comes out. Neither of those things are in here, but it's really, really good. This is a pretty popular brewery amongst locals down here in the 757, and it's a very good one. So a pretty cool can with a German Shepherd on it as well.
What's the name of the brewery again?
Wasserhound.
Wasserhound. I like that can. That's
nice. Sick can. Really good Hefeweizen beer. This is like a 4 for me. It's a really crisp Hefeweizen. It's really good.
I am taking it easy tonight. As you know, Sam, I put myself in a body bag this past weekend. And so
10 hours, no water.
10 hours, no water on game day.
Damn.
And then the next day,
what a text to receive.
The next day, I met up with Sam, and I was hurting so bad. Like, I took down about 5 golden grenades while we were recording. That's the Coors Banquets, as opposed to the Silver Bullet there. And man, I was feeling good, feeling no pain when I got on my flight, and I got home in one piece. But now I would say I'm drinking a seltzer, but it's actually, look at this. This is embarrassing. It's a Bud. It's a Bud Zero. Because, you know, I still like beer. And honestly, it's one of the better alcohol-free beers. If you're going to sit and have something like that, I had some with my food earlier. Like, you want a beer with food, but you don't want to drink. Bud, Coors Edge is decent. The Corona is great. I know Robbie has talked a lot about alcohol-free beer on this show in his last year. This is a rarity for me, but a necessity, at least coming down from Charlotte.
Does it have the, and like if you're drinking like a Budweiser or something, it doesn't have much of it to start with, but does it have that slight bittery twang that you get from alcoholic beer? That's an all alcoholic beer.
It's as close as you're gonna get. This is one of the closest ones. Like, I've had a lot of alcohol-free beers over the last, year or so. You can tell on most of them that they are alcohol-free. This one, if you weren't paying attention, you might not notice, but if you are paying attention, you will notice. But if you're eating, like I said, and you have the food flavor and you're just using it as a counterpart, you cannot tell. And the Corona, you drop a lime in that thing, the Corona alcohol-free, can't tell. So those are just a couple recommendations. If you were looking for something to supplement, sitting on the couch, you want to scratch the itch, but you don't want to drink, that's what I have to say about that. And Dan, I think you're having water too, right?
Yeah, I'm not drinking a beer, but you know what beer's made with? Water. And that's what I'm drinking.
All right. Well, let's go to